balance here, the moment's near. Your voice is loud, it's crystal clear. Kiwi dreams and hopes collide. Choose the ones who'll stand with pride. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. The future's written in your hand. The chance to guide and take a stand. Community rising, hearts aligned. In together we shape this land divine. It's in the ballot we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. There's a fortune in your hand, a chance to guide and take a stand. Community rising, hearts aligned. In this moment, powers redefined. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. From hills to shores, every voice will soar. Decisions made will open the door to brighter days and skies that shine. Our future's ours, it's yours and mine. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. From hills to shores, every voice will soar. Decisions made will open the door to brighter days and skies that shine. Our future's ours, it's yours and mine. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. The ballot's here, the moment's near. Your voice is loud, it's crystal clear. Kiwi dreams and hopes collide. Choose the ones who'll stand with pride. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. The future's written in your hand. A chance to guide and take a stand. Community rising, hearts aligned. In together we shape this land divine. It's in the ballot we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. There's a fortune in your hand, a chance to guide and take a stand. Community rising, hearts aligned. In this moment, powers redefined. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor aligned. Together we'll shape this land divine. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor aligned. Together we'll shape this land divine. From hills to shores, every voice will soar. Decisions made will open the door to brighter days and skies that shine. Our future's ours, it's yours and mine. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. From hills to shores, every voice will soar. Decisions made will open the door to brighter days and skies that shine. Our future's ours, it's yours and mine. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot.
And good afternoon, everybody. This afternoon, these candidates will be vying to get the Waiopehu ward vote on why they should be the next councillor for the next 3 years. But with every election, there's one thing stepping in their way, and that's your vote. And coming here live from the Te Takeretanga at Horowhenua Library. Okay, sorry. That's what happens when there's a few things behind the scenes aren't lining up in the right places. Would you like to put the camera on me? Perfect. Oh, at least that part's working properly. Okay. No, having a bit of nervous moment there, but going through there. So these candidates here have decided to give their time to answer your questions from the community on why they should be the next elected councillor for the next 3 years. Now, we'll start off with 1 minute opening statements. Going by my random list order sheet. Sam, you get to go up first.
Thanks, Sam.
And your microphone.
Oh, microphone might help me.
Oh, exactly. So those at home can actually hear.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, look, my name's Sam Jennings, and I'm seeking your vote. I've already served 2 terms on council, representing the Levin ward, and in that time I've shown that I'm not afraid to take a stand, challenge waste and fluff, and fight for fiscal discipline, transparency, and common sense. I've taken a bit of a bold risk and now standing in the Waiopehu ward and trying to build that local support again. Because, let me be blunt, I've seen how Waiopehu has been really left behind, underrepresented, lacking real impact and investment in this term, and I'm hoping to to stop that. I know how council work, and I can hit the ground running from day one. Waiopehu is the second largest ward in Horowhenua, and it deserves someone who can deliver results. What do I stand for? Simple: common sense, fiscal restraint, and growth that creates opportunity. I've demonstrated focus, that I can focus on needs, not wants, and trying to persuade my council colleagues to keep council focused on our core business. I've been a very consistent advocate on local issues, O2L, and keeping vehicle access at Waikawa Beach. Vote for me. Thanks.
Okay, so next up we got Judy for Judy's opening statement on why she should be one of the next councillors for the next 3 years.
Hello, I'm Judy Webby and I'm standing for the Waiopehu ward as I believe we deserve better representation than we've received over the last term. Having lived most of my life in Horowhenua, including Mohanaua East, Levin and Manukau, I bring a deep connection to our community and a commitment to remain in the area. My 25 years of experience running a photography business and over 20 years as a registered financial advisor means I'm well equipped to be an effective representative. I pride myself on being a solution thinker rather than a problem seeker, and I'm committed to speaking up fearlessly and finding common sense solutions. Major changes are ahead for Horowhenua, and as our population grows, we must manage new housing and roading to preserve our quality of life and ensure balanced land use for a sustainable future. I will bring a strong and independent voice to the council table and beyond. Vote for Judy.
Okay, and next up we've got Bruce.
Hi everyone, my name's Bruce Eccles. I'm a resident of Waitereri Beach and am standing for the Waiopehu ward. I was born and educated in Levin and my career in construction started here. Besides working for a major civil construction company on infrastructure projects and for the Earthquake Commission as a claims consultant overseeing the Canterbury Residential Repair Program, I have worked extensively in the local area. For the past 8 years, I've been active with the Waitereri Beach Progressive and Ratepayers Association, the last 5 as president. This has allowed me to work closely with elected members and senior officers of Horowhenua District Council and Horizons Regional Council. I've developed a deep understanding of the needs of the wider Horowhenua community. I am proud of the achievements made in community and safety projects. Unfortunately, I believe we have been underrepresented at the council table in recent times, and it is my desire to change this. My understanding of unique local issues and recognition of the diverse community contained within drives my desire to continue contributing to the community. Thank you.
Okay, next up Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Connell. I bring experience in high-stakes engineering and financial oversight. I've had experience developing submarine rescue systems for the U.S. and Australian navies. Politics isn't about ideology, it's about outcomes, keeping life affordable, investing in the right infrastructure, and making sure council works for the people who pay for it. I'm seeking this role because I want to be a strong voice for rural ratepayers. Someone who listens first, acts responsibly, and always puts our community needs at the front of the conversation. I believe decisions about us should not be made without us. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's get to the fun part here. Here are where the box questions. Now, because we have to do some downsizing and economising here, because I'm going to take both the role of Selwyn Toogood and Tēnā Kukurushia. So the questions are here, but I have got them in there. The candidates will still pick out box numbers and they will sit down there and go for that. You're welcome to do the box numbers in English or Te Reo Māori. I do understand both, and I've proven myself back 2 nights ago with the Horowhenua Māori ward. So now, with every candidate, they get given 2 button cards and 1 defer card. So if a candidate gets a question that another candidate wants, they can use their button card onto and give the answer and after the original candidate's finished. Also, if a candidate gets a question they do not want to answer, they can use their defer card. Fingers crossed, they don't use their defer cards, or if they do, they end up with a candidate who actually delivers a better answer. So let's kick off. Judy, you get to choose the box number between 1 and 28.
8.
And for those at home, waru as well. So we do. Okay, so we've got, was it box 20, box 8 has letter Q for Quebec. How will you ensure Horowhenua is prepared for climate change impacts like flooding and coastal erosion?
I think this is something that we all need to be very aware of. It is going to be happening. We are not quite so worried about erosion on our coast because I think our coast is going up rather than down. But it is something that we're going to have to look at carefully so we're ready for it and we don't have to react in an inappropriate way when we just run out of time. But probably more for our area is the increase in rain. I think this is going to cause us a lot of problems, and we've also already seen flooding in our area, so stormwater systems are going to have to keep up. Thank you.
Okay, Sam, what box number?
Let's go 1.
Okay, we've got letter A, B for Alpha Bravo. How should Horowhenua work with the regional council to improve local transport?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, look, I think this is something that's already happening. Horowhenua District Council is a member of the Passenger Transport Committee that Horizons operates. There is obviously some proposals around public transport for this district proposed at the moment. There is obviously always a concern around the cost of those services and who pays for them, because ultimately the ratepayer will subsidise and pay for those services. And so it's really around understanding the needs and the wants of the community and then assessing that against, is there actually a sensible business case? Does it make sense in terms of the resources available? One thing around, for example, proposed bus services for Horowhenua is the regional council might pay for the services, but it falls on the local council to pay for all the infrastructure like bus stops, roading changes, transport hubs, all that kind of stuff. And so something that you really need to understand is that overall picture in terms of cost.
Okay, Bruce, what box number?
10.
And for those at home, that was box number 10. Okay, we got P for Papa. Would you consider advocating for more safe pedestrian crossings on main arterial routes such as State Highway 1, which runs through and splits many of our towns?
Yes, there is a need for more crossings, particularly in streets like Queen Street East. I walked up there just yesterday and walking across at the roundabout at Cambridge Street, you're dancing amongst the cars. There's definitely a need to investigate more crossings. Perhaps some of the traffic will be alleviated in 5 years' time when our new roads are completed. But in the meantime, I think we definitely need to investigate more crossings on our busy roads, particularly with our state highways. Thank you.
And we've got a button from Sam.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm going to butt in because Bruce is absolutely correct. I think the thing to note here is that I've certainly been advocating for NZTA to invest in changes to our state highway network, and obviously we have the the benefit and the project O2NL that will be happening for our district. And what that does is it creates an opportunity really to make sure that once the old state highway becomes a local road, that we really are making sure that that road is fit for purpose, has the right form and function for what we need. And it gives us a real opportunity to make sure that we are allocating sensible investment, and we're encouraging NZTA to basically turn that road into something that suits our local people with safe crossings, safer intersections. So I think that's a real positive opportunity, and that'll be a real focus for the next 3 years.
Okay, Dan.
Box number 7, please.
Box number 7. Okay, we got A for Alpha. Many residents feel disconnected from council decision making. How will you improve transparency and community engagement?
Council publishes reports, minutes, and agendas and live streams meetings. I believe it's the ratepayer's personal responsibility to engage in the system. A few things that may better help that engagement is longer notice periods for notifying the public of when public meetings are being held, and varied times so all people retired and working can attend and participate in those meetings.
Okay, so we've got 4 questions down, so let's get for another round with a new random order. Bruce, you get to go first. What box number? 12. Okay, so for those at home, it's 12. Okay, we have F for Foxtrot. Do you support borrowing to fund major infrastructure, or should we focus on a pay-as-you-go model?
Right. I believe a council the size of HDC cannot possibly actually have the cash available to provide the infrastructure that's needed for the long term. This requires borrowing. This means that the repayments can be spread over the life of the infrastructure requirements. It also means that the ratepayers of the future are contributing to the assets that they are using. Basically, it's a good old system of user pay. So yes, I think councils do need to borrow to provide infrastructure for the future. Thank you.
Okay, Dan.
Box 10, please.
Sorry, box 10's already gone. We've got 9 or 11.
20, please.
20, no problem. Okay, we have B for Bravo, or for Bath Street, considering I know that's a street in Levin. I should know that, I did used to live here. Do you support live streaming all council and committee meetings so the community can see decisions being made? Similar to the last one.
Absolutely. Live streaming every council and committee meeting is about basic transparency. People should choose to engage in these meetings. If we want trust, the community should be able to see decisions made in real time. No closed door guesswork. Transparency builds trust, and trust builds stronger communities. We could also do like some Nordic countries have done, which requires council to publish household impact statements, which show ratepayers exactly what proportion of the rates are spent on debt, roads, schools, etc. We need to increase transparency in order to increase public confidence in the decisions the council makes.
Now, before we get to the box of the question, one thing I've noticed in the various different places we've gone to, I think it would be wise, this is just a suggestion here, that you have in the libraries, you have the live stream of the council meetings when they're happening on TV screens. So, because I've noticed this library is packed with people, and I think it would just be nice if it's just seen in the background where people can see our councillors in action. You know, so they don't have to necessarily be at home. They can also be at the nearest library. You know, whether you're in Foxton, Levin or Shannon, you can see the whole action live. Does Tokomaru have a library as well? No. Okay. No, I wasn't sure if Tokomaru did or not. I know it's in the district, but yeah. Judy, what box number?
11.
11. Okay, we have M for Manukau. Okay. How would you balance long-term asset renewal, e.g. the pipes, roads and water, with keeping rates manageable?
Well, we have to extend the payment period. It's really the only way of doing it. So the people that are living here now can't stump up with the whole funds that are needed for those various things. So that's why we need to borrow and spread the load over a longer period of time. And also the people that are going to be using that asset off into the future, they are going to be paying for it via their rates, and also they'll be paying for the interest along their way as well. Thank you.
Okay. Sam, what box number?
Number 3, please.
Number 3. Okay, we got O for Oscar. How do you think council is doing enough to maintain Horowhenua District's rural roads?
Thanks, Sam. Yes, look, I do. And the data proves that we do conditions assessments, and generally those reports indicate that our roading network is very good, in very good condition. There's obviously always scope to improve, and timing and planning is everything. And so there are some particularly rural roads in the Waiopehu district where they're narrow, or there might be an opportunity to put pathway or shared pathway alongside. But generally, yes, the roading condition across the district is in very good nick. There's a clear program of works that make sure that works are coordinated. So, for example, if a road needs to be dug up to put some pipes in, that then the timing of the road rehabilitation is also planned sensibly, so that we're not digging up the same road twice.
And that's something I have noticed is the proportion of roads. There is a hell of a lot more sealed roads than, say, the counterpart up the road of Manawatu District. I do remember they tend to have a lot more gravel roads around there. Okay, so we've got 8 questions down. Let's get to a new list order. And Dan, you get to go first. What box number?
28, please.
28. Okay, we got D for Delta. Are you comfortable with the way the council manages its debt position?
No, to be simple. Our growth strategy, is it real or is it based on a prediction? Our current model is too slow, requires massive capital expenditure, and cannot react quickly enough to changing economic conditions. We need to rethink our growth strategy into something more agile, that looks at smarter infrastructure, that isn't just bigger versions of the same thing. Our growth strategy at the moment requires on massive capital expenditure to build infrastructure in the hopes that ratepayers will turn up, and at the times that these predictions say they will. Otherwise, existing ratepayers pay for that growth. There are smarter, more agile ways that allow growth to pay for growth, and existing ratepayers aren't burdened with that.
And we got a button from Sam. Seem to be using it.
I'm going to use all the buttons. Yep. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, look, I'm going to take a slightly different approach to what Dan says. The question's about managing debt rather than the debt level, because I'm not happy about our debt level, but and there's been some reckless spending decisions in the past. Foxton swimming pool, overspends on community assets, closing the Levin landfill, all of those things have had massive impacts on our debt level. But the question's about managing our debt, and I think council does manage its debt well. We have safety debt headroom in the event of an earthquake or other major event. We find that sweet spot between rates affordability, between asset management and debt reduction and debt management. And, we are paying $200,000 a week on interest costs, or just under. And so that's the equivalent of about 60 properties worth of rates every week spent on interest costs. And so the overall objective has to be around bringing those debt levels down. And we're going to do that through attracting new ratepayers to share in the cost of that debt.
Okay, Judy, what box number?
Have we had 18?
No, we haven't.
Oh, I'll have that one.
So the great old voting age and the drinking age. Okay, we have W for Waiopehu. How will you ensure rural communities get fair investment compared to urban areas?
Well, as with all of these questions, I'm only one vote in many, so I'm not going to ensure anything, but I am going to speak up very strongly for the rural community of which I've been a part of most of my life in Manukau for the last 36 years. So we already have a rating differential between rural and urban, and that needs to be maintained. But we do constantly need to be watching that the rural areas are not being disadvantaged, because they do feel a bit left out, because they're not getting the water, they're not getting the sewerage, oftentimes they're not getting their rubbish picked up, because if they put a bag out, the dogs get it. So they do need to feel as though they're valued just as much as the urban areas.
Okay, Bruce, what box number?
We'll try 21.
21. Oh, yes, that's another unique age. When my grandma first voted in 1949, the voting age was still 21. Thank goodness we've moved with the times. And actually, funny enough, my grandma's only voted under her married name as well, just for something in there which just doesn't sound right these days. Okay, so we got I for India. The government and Taxpayers Union have accused councils of being irresponsible with large rates increases. What is your view?
Right. I agree with the ratepayers, with the Taxpayers Union. Some councils have been very good at spending ratepayers' money. But I do believe that Horowhenua District Council have tried to be more responsible. We don't have the grandiose projects going ahead in this district like we're seeing in some. So I think they are being more reasonable and thinking about whose money they're spending. I do know from experience that you could submit in the long-term plan the things that you would like to have in your community, and the council have enough sense to say, hey, they are not affordable at this point in time. I think hats off to Horowhenua District Council for where we're currently going on that one. Thank you.
Okay, Sam, what box number?
Let's go 5.
5. Okay, we got K for kitty kitty. What do you see as the main difference between Māori landowners and hapu in the terms of their relationship with council?
Thanks, Sam. So this question is, I guess, Māori landowners obviously are like any other property owner and ratepayer, and that we need to ensure that we respect property rights and that we're talking to them as an affected property owner if it's a decision relating to their property. In terms of hapu, the relationship is more of a one in terms of our partnership strategy with iwi and hapu, and so there will be a different engagement approach, or there will be a different context in which hapu are engaged versus Māori landowners. It may be that on a particular decision or a particular project that we're consulting with a party wearing two hats, as a landowner but also as the local hapu representing that particular area.
Okay, so we've now gone down 12 questions. Let's get to another list order. And Bruce, you get to go first. What box number?
25.
So 25. It's a good old year the insurance excesses come down for drivers. Okay, we've got E for Ikatahuna. Do you support reviewing council spending priorities before turning to further rate increases?
Quick answer to that, yes, most definitely. Council need to be knowing that, hey, what the priorities are before they're spending our money. Thanks.
Okay, Dan, what box number?
Box number 2, please.
Box number 2. Okay, we've got R for responsibility. What are your thoughts on supporting anaerobic digestion of food waste to produce biogas similar to the plant in Reparar? Please also note this is not an incineration of general waste.
Yes, I would, but I wouldn't stop at just food waste. There are decentralized wastewater solutions that produce biogas that the district could utilize as well. However, we need to consider best practice and analyze this. Is this cost effective? Is it delivering value for ratepayers? And need to proceed based on that assessment.
Okay. Sam, what box number?
That was 7.
Already been taken.
9.
Yes, that's still free. That's for now. We got X for X-ray. What's your vision for making the small towns in your ward vibrant, safe, and attractive places for family and businesses?
Thanks, Sam. So this is a really interesting question because arguably all of those small communities, particularly in Waiopehu, have community plans. And so those are plans that have been developed with community people where essentially priorities and things that are important to those communities have been outlined in those plans. And so really the how you make that happen is, so it's not about my vision, it's about those communities' visions. And so my job as a councillor will be to take those community plans through to a long-term plan process and actually advocate hard for investment in those things that the community is looking for. Again, it's going to take really clear and sensible communication around being clear about wants and needs and what's actually available in terms of funding resources, funding those projects. But yeah, absolutely, it's about breathing life into the vision of the individual communities, and that's how we're going to do it, through those community plans and the long-term plan process.
Okay, next up, Judy, what box number?
I've lost track of them. Do we have 25?
No, unfortunately not. That's just gone.
26.
26. Okay. Do we have any names in the Horowhenua that start with J?
No.
Or do we stick with the phonetic alphabet of Juliet?
Juliet.
Okay. How willing are you to work with local hapu and iwi at a councillor level?
I'm willing to work with every member of the community, and I think that is what we should be concentrating on rather than specific ethnicities. I think I'd like to see us having a community where everyone is treated equally and everyone has the same input and they're listened to just as well.
Okay, we've got that. We've now done 16 questions and we've got a new order, and I'm just trying to make sure. Judy, you get to go first. What box number?
Got it. Think of another one. 28.
Sorry, that's taken, but we can go for 27.
I'll go for 27. We need a little tick off list.
So I'm crossing them off here.
Mhm.
We've got S for Sam, who is both the host and a candidate. Do you support household food waste collection to stop organic waste from going to the landfill?
Yes, I do. I think this is a very important factor, that we don't need organic waste in our landfills, but I think more emphasis should be made on reducing the waste that we're generating rather than dealing with it. I mean, because I live rurally, I have a worm bin for my compost. I have chickens who eat the food scraps, and everything's pretty well utilised. So I think the answer is more education with the community to try and reduce the amount that we throw out.
I know I haven't got any button cards, but can I be cheeky and button?
Would one of your candidates like to donate one of your
Or
buttons?
can I forego a... Oh,
Okay.
thanks.
Yep, Bruce has donated a button.
Thank you very much, Bruce. I appreciate that. Because this is probably the one I should have saved it for, because I have a completely different view on this, that we've had just done a 3-month trial for composting in Levin, and it's had an uptake of 35%, and it is a complete waste of time and money. And so I absolutely would not support this, particularly being extended into the Waiopehu ward, where people probably compost and have available land to deal with their own food scraps. And so chucking on another $100 to $150 on their annual rates bill for this service, for me, is not a priority, and it's a complete waste of time.
Okay, and with tradition with every button, they tend to be the next person to pick a box. Seb.
Oh, me, sorry. 13.
13, okay. Okay, we got AA for Alpha. Do you think you have any professional or personal relationships that could become a conflict of interest while serving as a council member?
The simple answer is no, but obviously as a councillor, every now and again something does come up where you either know someone very well, or for example, like the Takeretanga project that is about the subdivision in Levin. I'm a neighbouring property, so I declared a conflict and didn't participate in any of the decision making. So conflicts are inevitable in a small district, and it's just how you manage them. And I think that's been one of the real issues on this current council term, is there's been some elected members that haven't managed their conflicts well, and so I'd be pushing pretty hard if re-elected to perhaps put some sunlight on those.
Okay, Dan, what box number?
22.
Yes, we got 22. Okay, we got H for Horowhenua. If elected, will you decelerate council spending on unwanted grand projects and concentrate on vital infrastructure like roading?
Yes, 100%. I believe the council needs to get back to the basics and focus on core services before it branches out into fluff and vanity projects. We really need to focus on core spending, slowing down the rates increases, and then we can move on from there.
Okay, Bruce.
Right, my number, 9 gone.
Yes, that has gone. I've got 4, 6 down the low end, so you can start from 14 and creep a little bit up, but you hit a roadblock at 18.
Give me 18.
No, that's been taken. That's the roadblock.
4. You gave me the. I'll take the bottom end then.
Okay, 4. Go forward. Okay. We got N for November.
Sorry? N
for November. Yes. I couldn't find the local sounding name, so I used the phonetic alphabet for that one. How will you ensure a new housing development are matched by investment in transport, water, and community facilities?
The first thing to understand is all new developments which take place in Horowhenua and place a burden on the community facilities are required to pay development levies, I believe. So it is imperative that these funds are prudently used to provide additional facilities and upgrades to the existing facilities as they are required for these developments. I am a believer that the development funds need to be only used there and need to be isolated within the council's budget so we can see what money is available for the development that's been provided by the developers and obviously the people that have bought the sections and have become ratepayers. So I think that money needs protecting. That's what it's for, and I think as long as that's working, we have a good system. Thank you.
Okay, so we've done 20 questions now. Let's get round for another round. Dan, What box number would you like to pick?
Box number 3.
Long gone. We've got 6 down the low end, or you can start up from 14.
6, please.
And it'll be the last of the single-digit boxes. We've got T for Tango. Do you think the council is doing enough in terms of wastewater disposal and treatment and disposal?
No. We continue to be stuck on the path of building bigger versions of the same thing. I believe there are smarter wastewater options, smarter decentralized solutions that don't require the large capital expenditures to build. They reduce risk, they spread risk throughout the district rather than having a single point of failure, and they're easier to scale. So as the district grows in size, we can plug these pieces of infrastructure in like Lego rather than building one giant plant that we hope ratepayers arrive to pay for. We can scale modularly rather than building large, outlaying a large sum of money, and then hoping the growth happens. And if it doesn't, then existing ratepayers are met with that burden. So I would think differently than what we're doing now.
Okay, Bruce, what box number?
14.
Yep, we can do 14. We got V for Victor. How accessible is the current Horowhenua District Council, and what steps would you take to improve its accessibility if needed?
Right. The current accessibility, I think, is reasonably good. I mean, all public meetings, there's public areas available, they're streamed live. So every citizen has the right to attend these meetings. I would make myself available to attend all community organisations that represent ratepayers, which hasn't been happening, I don't believe, in recent times. I would also undertake to be available for other public meetings that may be held that affect council decisions that are held locally. So, yeah, that's the big thing, I think, is for the councillors to be available for the citizens. Thank you.
Okay, Sam, what box number? 15. Oh, yes. Who here, put hands up, got your driver's license at 15? As I say, it feels weird with it being 16, even though it's been like that for 15. Yeah, actually, it's about 15 years. Yeah. Okay, we got C for Charlie. What will you do to stop poor council expenditure, allocate resources to critical infrastructure, and rein in huge increases?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I think that council over the last 3 years has done this, but there's more work to do. And one of the things I guess I've been most proud about in terms of serving on council has been pushing and implementing zero-based budgeting. So that means at the beginning of every year, in the long-term plan process, we start with a clean piece of paper. So it's not just taking the budget from the previous year and rolling it over with just a plus percentage. It's actually looking at every line of expenditure and justifying why it's there. And that's particularly important with the critical infrastructure. So being really clear about what actually is our critical infrastructure, where we can sweat the asset, where we can defer, where I talked about before about lining projects up so that we're digging the road up only once. And so it's about being really, really sensible about timing and sequencing of projects. And the zero-based budgeting, as I say, that's been implemented, but it needs obviously to keep continuing. And that really then presents elected members with the opportunity to make judgments and tough calls around what we fund or what we don't.
And yay, we've got a button from Dan.
I agree with what Sam said. I agree about zero-based budgeting. I think that's a great idea. The only thing I'd add on top of that is we can take an example of what they do in Switzerland is they require council to have a binding public referenda on certain capital expenditures exceeding a certain amount. So if council is planning to build a theater or something that requires a large amount of money, the public actually has a mechanism where they can vote and have their input into whether that's a yes or no, rather than just a public hearing where your voice may or may not be heard. But other than that, I would agree.
Okay, Judy, what box number?
What's left?
Oh, we got 16,
16?
17.
Yeah, I'll take 16.
Yes. The age you now can get your driver's license at, and if the parents say yes, get married.
And maybe the vote.
Yeah, I know. It's like you can get married at 16, but you can't vote till you're 18. It's all sorts of fun things. We got Z for Zulu. What's one big opportunity or challenge you see for the district?
Well, O2NL is an absolutely huge one. It's going to eventually be great, but it's going to be hugely disruptive in the meanwhile. And particularly down in Manukau, we're really worried about our groundwater. So we're going to have a lot of drilling that's going on, and all of this sort of thing is going to have to be carefully watched as it goes through. But having said that, once O2NL opens up, we're just going to have such a safe way of getting from point A to point B, and hopefully a lot less carnage that we see on the roads now.
And maybe the medieval fair could come back. As I remember, it used to be at Manukau Primary School for years and years and years, and then they had to move it up there because the traffic just kept becoming diabolical. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, we have 4 questions left, and we'll have a new order of candidates. Bruce, you get to go first. What box number? We got 17, 19, 23, or 24?
I'll take 17.
17. The good old age where you can join the army but can't go overseas. Yeah, we got you for uniform. What role should council play in protecting natural areas and biodiversity while supporting economic growth?
Sorry, I'd lost my questions there. Well, currently, the Horowhenua District Council operate under the district plan as per the RMA. So natural areas are identified and generally protected. How this is going to change under the proposed government changes to the RMA, I'm not quite sure whether we really have all the answers to that. But I also believe the responsibility of working with getting the new RMA or the replacement to the RMA to work will become a big part of the incoming council. So I think this is sort of one to watch as we go forward.
Okay. Now, sorry, I've just hit the list on there. Judy.
What have we got? 19?
Yep, we got 19.
Oh, wow. Just take that
Yes,
number and measure.
was it a number that at its age means absolutely nothing? Because I don't know what you can do at 19 that you can't do at 18, but you can do at 21 or something. Okay, we got Y for Yankee. What's your biggest priority for the next term, and how do you intend on delivering it?
My biggest priority is encouraging engagement between the councillors and the public. At the moment, I think the satisfaction rating for Horowhenua District Council was 63%, but only 40% felt that council were open and transparent in their decision making, and I would really like to change that. I know that only 45% of the registered voters actually voted, and whether they were part of the 40%, I just don't know. But I think we do need people to become more involved and encourage them to watch the meetings, come to drop-in centres, and generally have their input so they don't feel so helpless. Okay.
Okay, Sam, what box number? 23 or 24?
Let's go 23, please.
Okay, we got L for Levin. It's all right. We can always call it Taitoko as well. as that's its original name until William Levin came along. What is your plan to address Horowhenua's ageing water and stormwater infrastructure? Notice this person doesn't care about the sewerage.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, well, look, yeah, I'll answer this on the basis of three waters. And so basically the plan is called the long-term plan. We've done some really serious thinking about what's required, but obviously taking into account what's available in terms of debt headroom, what the impact on rates will be. And so that's the issue. The plan's there. We know what the issues are. We know what the sequence needs to be. Obviously, there's a really interesting time at the moment with the transfer of water assets and the associated debt to a new entity where we're partnering with Palmerston North in the Rangitikei district. And so that's going to present a number of opportunities because there's different projects, different sequencing across those different districts. And so the question mark is probably around stormwater, because some stormwater assets will stay with council because they're associated with roads or parks. And again, there is a sequence plan around addressing those issues. So I'm really confident that we have done the thinking, we have the plan, and now it's just about execution.
Now, Dan, what box number would like to pick? You can have any box number you want as long as it's 24.
Oh, I'll take 24 then.
Sounds a bit like Henry Ford just then. You can any colour you want as long as it's black. What budget line item would you remove to help bring down rates without disrupting basic services? And that's G for golf.
I would review all non-core services and reduce or remove as seen. If we can review and look at a 20 or 30% saving in non-core services, we could save upwards of $9 million, which we could use to pay down debt or hold rates steady for the moment.
Okay, we've exhausted our boxes. So I think it's time for us to take an early break. So we'll take a 10-minute break here. And for those who are watching online, we'll see you back in 10 minutes' time for hard-hitting questions.
I'm back again, thank you. And what we want to do here is we want for the candidates to introduce themselves. So do we have a preferred? Yeah, who should we start off with? I'll tell you what, let's start with, have we got the Prime Minister there anywhere? Let's start with the Prime Minister.
I am not Chris Hipkins. I am at a debate. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
This is Michael Hill. He's not here.
My name's Heka Robertson, and I'm with Vision New Zealand. I'm here.
Hi, I'm Tony Pitteroy, and I'm with New Zealand Party.
Kia ora. I'm Chris Norton, and I'm with the Greens.
I'm not Emma Chatterton, but Emma has, in fact, submitted 2 videos, which we will see later on in the show.
Thank you very much. There you are. There is our list of candidates.
For the members' bill, so we've asked each of our candidates, you can introduce a members' bill as an MP into the biscuit tin, and it can be drawn out and potentially turned into law. So we've asked them, we're giving them 2 minutes to explain, if they're elected, what would be the first members' bill that they would introduce into Parliament. So we'll go with Bernard first.
All right. By its very nature, a members' bill is therefore is not necessarily party policy, and my members' bill is not party policy.
So I'll just make that point first. What I would do is cause alcohol regulation or alcohol to be regulated in the same way that we have recommended that marijuana be regulated. That is, no branding, no advertising, available through government outlets with limited supply at each purchase. There is a narrative that marijuana is the entry drug to all sorts of dreadful drugs. Not so. Alcohol is the entry drug and does considerably more damage than marijuana does. So I believe should be regulated in the same way. That's my view, not party policy.
Short and to the point. And Helma.
As I talked long enough about the abortion issues, people know my view. What would be my preferred private members bill if I was elected? But that's not party policy. That private members bills have to be okayed by, of course, by the party. I have one remit going forward that is not addressed last convention, and that is a remit to solve the housing crisis. In the Netherlands, we had a Premier A scheme for low socioeconomic people, low income people to buy their own home. It was in the 1970s when a very left-wing MP, Prime Minister, De Nauw, brought that in. It was extremely successful. It solved the housing crisis. Then they stopped it because there were enough homes, and people, then now they want a very right-wing government, wants to start this again. And that actually to me means that this is a very, very good policy. Premier A scheme to have a house. It is a scheme that has to be quite difficult, but you're actually buying a house with a Premier. You cannot resell it for 7 or 8 years. There is a little bit of a stick behind the door that you pay your payments, and after 6 or 7 years, you can buy in the free market and in the free sector, free sector, and the new Premier A couple can buy that house of yours, and it really solved the housing crisis. If we can really put whole Parliament put their weight behind it, we actually can solve the housing crisis, and we can bring to young people the hope to own their own home again back to New Zealand.
Yeah, another phonetic alphabet. How has New Zealand changed since you were a child? Has it changed for the better?
That's a really interesting question.
How long ago was it?
Yeah, 65 years ago. So when I was a child, I actually drove the steam trains on the railway land when the railway was in the middle of Palmerston, and I drove on those steam trains through the middle of Palmerston, and we went out laying gravel because I was with my dad. I was 5 years old with my dad laying gravel on the railway lines through Masterton. So it's changed.
So no internet then?
No internet.
Did you have to ring up the operator and make a phone call?
No telephone. No telephone. We had a telephone box outside our house, and that telephone box, there's a little baby left in there. It was a program the other day on TV1, and that was right outside our place. And that was before I was born. So my mother had 5 daughters, didn't have any sons, so she was thinking of adopting that. But then I came along, so it saved the day, didn't it? Even when I was at university, my first university, I had to do my stats. I had to borrow a calculator because the calculators were like $500 off the office. Yeah, and I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to borrow that off there. I had to use a slide rule to do my calculations, and it took me 3 weeks to do my stats. My second degree, in 1994, when I did my stats, it took me 20 minutes to do the same stats, and I just couldn't believe how much that worked. Now it would take 3 or 4 minutes, bang, it'd be done. It's just incredible how things have moved and how fast things have gone. Yeah, so it's quite amazing.
The bill that I would introduce is extending the time from when candidates are announced to the election from 4 weeks to 9 weeks, because it's just not enough time. And we had evidence of that. I got a call yesterday saying, "Hey, you want to go to candidates meeting?" Okay, or was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah, yesterday. So only because Jill just found my name slipping through as a candidate for Umataka. So in local body elections, there's a 9-week time frame, and that gives time for everyone to get prepared and to start moving through the campaign. I'm still trying to get my car sign written, and there's only 3 weeks to the election, things like that. So that it's a simple bill, but it's really is just it's a leftover from first past the post, where the small parties just haven't been taken into account as to giving them enough time to run up to the election. And thank you.
So this evening, we've got a couple of questions that we think that you're going to be asking after this evening's show. The first question, will you be able to afford to spend $300 a week on childcare to get the maximum childcare rebate in a cost of living crisis? Question number 2, is it time for the EQC to expand its scope to include climate change disaster cover? And question number 3, if no cause rental terminations are reinstated in 2026, will Hart South residents have to worry about being evicted for allowing a campaigning politician to use the bathroom in their house if their landlord finds out and does not like that politician? Okay, so questions to think about, people.
Yeah, it felt like an educated one. All right, give her, it's 18. Okay, so question A, B, better known as Alpha and Bravo. What are you / your party going to do for the climate crisis?
What haven't we done? The Green Party has put the climate change on the agenda in Parliament for 30 years, and for years. And I'm thinking back to the work that Jeanette Fitzsimons did as one of the first co-leaders of the Green Party. It's so important that we address the climate crisis. People in Auckland intimately know this because of the floods from the Auckland anniversary weekend, also with what happened up north and also over the hill there in Hastings as well. But we need to do more. We need to make sure that we continue to bring down our emissions. We must mitigate our emissions, but also to support towns and cities to adapt for climate change, to have that climate resilience, and for us to support local councils to do that. And I also think about this in the wider context of where we are in the Pacific. We often say that we are a family of Pacific Islanders, and we are. Doing all of this stuff, we need to think about it as a region as well, and supporting our Pacific Island communities who are on the front lines of climate change.
is near, your voice is loud, it's crystal clear. Kiwi dreams and hopes collide. Choose the ones who'll stand with pride. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. The future's written in your hand. The chance to guide and take a stand. Community rising, hearts aligned. In total we shape this land divine. It's in the ballot we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. The fortune in your hand, a chance to guide and take a stand. Community rising, hearts aligned. In this moment, powers redefined. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. It's in the ballot where we belong. Every vote builds a nation strong. Your council, your board, your mayor in line. Together we shape this land divine. From hills to shores, every voice will soar. Decisions made will open the door to brighter days and skies that shine. Our future's ours, it's yours and mine. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. It's in the ballot. From hills to shores, every voice will soar. Decisions made will open the door to brighter days and skies that shine. Our futures.
And welcome back to It's in the Ballot. Now let's get ready for hard-hitting questions. Okay, so hard-hitting questions are the questions we give to all candidates, whether go on what they're standing on. So you can't use your button cards, you can't use defer cards, but sit there, do it. I'd also like to say we have an addition of William, who has joined us for the second half of the show. Thank you for jumping on there and coming. And we're also, at the end of it, you can do a combination of your opening and closing statement on why the people should give you your vote. We'll tell you later. Yeah. Okay, so let's get on to this. Hard-hitting question number one. Rates have increased significantly in the last 3 years. What will you do to ensure affordability for ratepayers while still funding essential services? And just bring up the random order sheet. Sam, you get to go first.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, look, this is obviously one of the key challenges for council is that affordability piece. And I try to use the idea of a single pensioner living on a superannuation as kind of my baseline to work out what is that person actually able to afford in terms of any sort of rates increase. And I think, look, we are in a really challenging time, and this is going to be an absolute key focus, need to be a key focus for council for the next 3 years. Or I can tell you what I've done to try and drive affordability. Hasn't always been successful. In 2020, I was around the table and I pushed and supported a negative rates increase. I think that's the first time it's ever happened in Horowhenua. That was around COVID. Last year, we started off with a proposed 23% rate increase. We got that down to 16%, still too high, but that was driven by insurance, interest costs, depreciation. It did mean that we ultimately cut 27 roles across the organisation, so around 10% of the workforce, saving $1 million in terms of remuneration. So it just shows you that some really tough calls required to get to that affordability piece.
Okay, Judy.
Right, well, the question about rates reminds me of that song, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And I think this is the case with rates. We have a large percentage of our population on low or fixed income, and we want the rates as low as possible. But we also want our sports grounds, our stormwater dealt with, our drinking water, our rubbish taken away. So it's a delicate balancing act. And I think, as Sam says, you've got to keep in mind the ratepayers have a limited amount of disposable income, and we are beholden to use that as efficiently as possible and try and avoid any projects that are more for egos than the actual practicality and use for the community.
Bruce.
Right. I guess every candidate in this election is going to be talking about the rates and how we're going to bring them down, etc., etc. But I do think that one of the first things to do is we need to review what are the core services that the council offers, and do they meet the community expectations? So that's the first job. What are we really here to provide with your ratepayer money? We then need to ask, are we getting value for money from the contractors that provide these services, the staff that are working within council? Is there value for money in everything that's being done? It's easy to say, but Sam, I'm sure, will tell you it's very hard to do. But hey, it must be done, and we must keep the rates, to cut the cloth to suit the suit, which is to make it work for the ratepayers. Thanks.
Okay, Bruce. Oh no, we've already done Bruce. Dan.
Yes, I believe council needs to get back to the basics and focus on core services only. We can make significant savings if we focused on core services and reduced or removed some of the fluff and vanity projects like some others have mentioned. In recent years, we've printed billions of dollars. That's not a political statement. That's just a statement of fact. We've all had to tighten our belts, so council, I think, has to do the same for the next couple years. And that means focusing on the core services, reducing spending, and keeping rates steady. Rates can't keep rising faster than wages do. It's not sustainable. And like some of the other candidates have said, people on a fixed income or low income salary, it affects the most. So yes, it's not sustainable.
Okay, William.
My platform is keep your rates down. Now, I know that it's going to either go up, but I don't want it to go too high where what's been mentioned to my fellow candidates here, core issues, things are going to happen, the world's going to is changing, price of everything is going up, and even our core services will end up going up, and the services that people out there provide. We don't want to lose that, a lot of those services, but we know we have to give some of them away or do away with some of them. And I think that with the people like myself and a few others that are pensioners, there are some people out there suffering now at the rates that are in. There are some councils that I know have very low rate increases, and sorry to say, this is one of the higher ones in the whole of some of the councils I've seen. We lose the berms. Now, I've had a lot of people moaning about that because they can mow there's council grounds.
We've got to.
I haven't turned off the mic.
We've got to actually be aware of what the council's spending, and they've got to pull their socks up, so to speak, on the expenditure that's going out and the income that's coming in.
Okay, let's get on to hard-hitting question number 2. Do you think the council is doing enough in terms of wastewater treatment and disposal? I feel like that must have been in the questions on the sheet. Yeah. Do it again and we'll hear from everyone. Bruce, you get to go first.
Yes. To that I say yes. As I drive around Levin, I see new pipe work being installed in order to ensure that the infrastructure is maintained. I read in the recent paper that only yesterday there was a sod turning to work on the new sewage treatment plant or the upgrading of the existing sewage treatment plant and part of it. So yes, I do think the council are working hard. We've got to remember that this will become part of the water delivery services plan on the 1st of July 2027. But in the meantime, I think the council are doing a very good job to keep what the assets are working well. Thanks.
William.
I have to get that question again because.
Do you think the council is doing enough in terms of wastewater treatment and disposal?
Now, where I live,
just yeah. Pull it out and put it back in.
I'm just going to swap off this one.
Okay.
Hello. All right.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
now this does all right for the waste management and all that and sewage and all right for living. Now the rural type urban areas like down the coast, right down to Waiopehu, they have their own septic setups, which is awkward for them because they got to get rid of that stuff. Now I don't know what the Three Waters is, well, this thing that we got that councils have gone with the other councils, how it's going to improve the water. The water's going to be there. The sewage is going to be there. The waste stuff is going to be there. It's very hard to work out with the council what they're going to do about it. And it has to be researched properly to do anything.
Okay, Dan.
Bigger plants and bigger pipes aren't always better. We do need to upgrade our existing wastewater facilities, but my view is new subdivisions, we should be looking at decentralized options that require less capital expenditure. They're quicker and easier to deploy, and they deal with the problem locally rather than centralized systems that are prone to failure during climate events. Community-based solutions spread the risk amongst many assets around the community.
Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, look, I do. I'm going to give us probably a B+ mark on this because we are one of the few councils nationwide that is discharging all of our wastewater to land, not waterways. Council has invested huge amounts to comply with our consent conditions, and there's obviously a program of work, so I referenced earlier, around upgrading those treatment plants, and I like some of what Dan's saying. He'll be pleased to know that the major upgrade at the Levin wastewater treatment plant is a modular system. So it's not a rollout of all of the necessary infrastructure on day one. There's an ability to add pieces on as that growth increases. there is one key area which is Tokomaru, which is not in the Waiopehu ward, but that is a key issue in terms of wastewater, and that's going to require some focus and some tough decisions around 170 connections that potentially cost $10 million to deal with. So very interested in what Dan's suggesting and looking at sort of smaller solutions and how we can embrace those. Judy.
Well, I have nothing to add to what has already been seen, already been said. I think HDC are doing a pretty good job, but it's something that we constantly need to be keeping an eye on with upgrades and also changes in the climate, and as that puts extra pressure on our wastewater and our stormwater systems that we may not be fully expecting.
Okay, let's get ready for hard-hitting question number 3. What is your position on retaining the Horowhenua Māori ward for Horowhenua District Council and the Tonga Māori constituency for Horizons Regional Council, and why do you hold that position? Sam, you get to go first.
Thanks, Sam. Look, I'm going to respect the outcome of the referendum. I think the community should determine the outcome of, in terms of our democratic arrangements. I voted to retain the Māori ward and take it to a referendum. I'm personally not a fan of the Māori wards in terms of identity-based representation, but people on the Māori electoral roll deserve representation. I think probably my key focus is on ensuring that our ward structure is, whatever the result of the referendum, is proportionally fair, because right now we have Waiopehu with just under 8,000 population, represented by 2 elected members. Then you've got other wards like the Kirikiri ward and the Māori ward that have 2 councillors for about 5,000 people. And so there's an imbalance there that needs to be corrected through a representation review that would happen in early 2026. And that's really the opportunity to make sure that our representation arrangements are fair, and yeah, so respect the outcome of the referendum is basically my answer.
Okay, Bruce.
Right. I guess a little bit of the history of it is after public consultation in 2019 to 22, Council created the Horowhenua Māori wards as directed by central government. So in 2022, the first 2 councillors were elected for this ward, and it appears to have worked fairly well. I haven't heard that it's created any disruption to the operation of council. This year again, as directed by central government, the continuation of the Māori wards will be voted upon by the residents. The outcome of these positions at this election will determine the future of the Māori wards within HDC. My position retaining Māori wards is therefore irrelevant. It's up to the citizens of this district to vote how they carry on with the Māori wards.
Okay, Dan.
I believe Māori representation is important, and the data tells us that. It saves money in the long term. Early consultation reduces conflict and, importantly, the risk of litigation, which is an expensive cost to ratepayers with no upside. The data also tells us that co-design projects get higher uptake and lower lifetime costs. In saying that, I don't believe Māori representation should be siloed in one seat. I believe there is a better and fairer way to get representative local government. Rather than a first-past-the-post method, a single transferable vote would ensure every ratepayer's vote remains equal and our elected representatives represent our community, including Māori representation.
Okay, Judy.
Right. So HDC voted unanimously to instigate the Māori wards, and now we have a referendum coming up where everyone is going to vote for that, and I will support the outcome. Personally, I don't agree with Māori wards. I think they're divisive, and I think there are other ways of achieving representation for all areas of our community, not just some specific parts. We do have the Māori engagement framework, and nearly 1.5% of our rates go into supporting that. So I think there is sufficient consultation going there.
William.
with the referendum coming up, I'll agree with it. If people pick that they do away with the Maori wards, well, that's their democratic right. As a Maori, I'm not standing in the Maori ward, I'm standing in the Waiopehu ward. And that's me personally. But the 9,000 people that the two elected candidates would represent is a small number, but at the same time, they will do a lot. The two candidates do a lot for the people. Now, the Maori wards, they cover the whole area. They don't just cover one ward, and I agree with that. But the democratic right of the people out there, I'll agree with. I'm not here to down Maori wards. I'm here to make sure the money's well spent, and if the people think it's well spent by putting a tick that, sorry, they're not for it, or leaving it, and yes, that's their right.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you for answering the hard-hitting questions. We're at the time of the show where we are now closing statements, and each candidate gets 1 minute on their closing statements of why the Waiopehu voters should give you one of their two ticks. Let's kick off with Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Connell, and a vote for me is a vote for change. For common sense, straight answers and results. I bring practical skills, independence, and clear focus on delivering for our community. Thank you.
Okay, Bruce.
Right, Bruce Eccles. My understanding of the uniquely local issues and the recognition of the diverse communities contained within drives my desire to continue contributing to the community. And with my broad practical experience, means I believe I can serve the interests of Waiopehu Ward well. Vote for Bruce. Thank you.
William.
My platform is to keep the rates down, and I know it won't happen. It's going to rise. I think that I've got enough skills during my lifetime to put towards the council in discussions, and look at them. Look at my fellow councillors. If I get in there, of course, which I hope you put the tick for me and one of the other 5 councillors in here, and we can work together. And that's what it is, working together.
Okay, Judy.
Hi, I'm retired, so I have the time to put into council, and I think this is an important aspect. I don't have any party affiliations or any conflict of interest, and my interest is actually to listen to the general public and then express those wishes in council. What I feel personally is relevant to me, but not relevant to my vote. It is concerning that not many people, well, only 45% of people have voted in the local elections, so we're not getting a true representation. So my request to everybody is do your research, talk to your neighbour, talk to your family, encourage them to vote. There is plenty of documentation online. I've actually set up a website. I have a Facebook site, so look up Judy Webby for Waiopehu and you'll find out all about me. And when it comes to voting time, give a tick to Judy Webby. You won't regret it.
Okay, Sam.
I'll wait for you. Yeah, look, thanks, Sam, to the It's in the Ballot team for supporting democracy and letting us share our views tonight. This afternoon. Thanks, team. Look, for me, the issues can't be clearer. In the next 2 years, council's going to be transferring its water assets and the associated debt to another organisation.
Oh,
and what that means is it's going to make our books look better, but there's going to be this immediate temptation of councillors to use that debt headroom and keep adding things to that rates bill. And so that temptation of doing all that fluffy, nice stuff is going to be there. And so that's really my proposition is that I'm an experienced councillor. I can bring that representation that Waiopehu needs. I've got a good track record in terms of financial discipline and making tough decisions, and I've been shown that I'm willing to stand up for waste and local issues. So vote Sam Jennings for real representation, the right choice. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for sitting there joining us. Now, just before we go, I will, once my computer loads up the budget for today, we will talk about how much these things cost to operate. It's Friday the 22nd. And just note that there is a little bit slight change in the costs. They're a bit higher than originally planned because so there will be a little bit of changes that will be in there. And I'm just removing the budget line. Gee, I'm removing budget lines out of there just like everyone else. Okay, so It's in the Ballot is an independent non-profit organisation funded on small dollar donations in order to make these shows work, and it's all labour contributed to make things work are dedicated by a team of volunteers who have taken, in some cases, time away from both their businesses and their full-time jobs in order to do that. In order for today's costs of running the show, now this was based on the mayoral debate happening today that has been postponed by 2 weeks because one of the two candidates is not in the country, and we decided for the best interests of the Horowhenua voters it was to actually have both of them in studio together. Venue hire for today is $205. Our internet connection to broadcasters out on Starlink is $14 a day. We spend $31 a day on restreaming hosting services, and we have a fuel budget of $100 per vehicle to get our gear to and from here and our crew, and we also have a refreshments budget of $50. If you'd like to sit and donate to the It's in the Ballot campaign, you can always head to our Eventbrite options and choose the option Kura-hau without admission and put a donation in that way. You can also donate to our Give a Little page, at which we can receive the funds through there, or if you want to have it delivered to us as quick as possible with the least fees, you can head to our website, it'sintheballot.nz, and click on donations, and it will show our nice KiwiBank bank account number there where you can put in a direct credit transfer, and that money will clear within a few hours, depending how long KiwiBank takes to process it, and whoever your bank is in the process. Also, when it comes to voting for the Waiopehu ward, all candidates get 2 ticks because the voting system's first past the post. And if you want to initiate a referendum at the representation review, you just need 5% of the voters of the Horowhenua to initiate a referendum, but might be worth before you do that, go and put in consultation to sit down there and actually recommend to the council why STV is needed as a change in system. I personally did look at it when I was a Horowhenua resident. Oh, lost by 1 vote. Yeah. And maybe that's because when I grew up on the Kapiti Coast, I had no clue how the councils were, but I remember all the radio ads on how STV actually worked. Yeah. Okay, so we'll be back here. Nick will be in the host seat at 4 p.m. for the Levin General Ward, and we will see you then. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.